In this video, I'm going to look at painting the sand. I have already done it on this painting, so you can sort of see it looks roughly right. So here's the actual picture. You know, you could argue I haven't put the waves in yet. So I think these waves and the wet sand and the dry sand are all part of a single painting process, done in steps. So I haven't done the white waves yet, but generally I'm pretty happy with these colours. Generally pretty good. So I'll show you how I mix them. I get a little bit of liquid. You know the story, it's just, there's not much, just sort of glistening there on the bottom, no lumps, no thickness really to it. So I'm going to start with this dry sand first. So I'll grab a little bit of titanium white because this is just very much an off-white colour. Titanium white's quite pasty, like toothpaste. So I'll put a little bit more liquid in it just to keep it on the move. It will clog up. Now, a bit of brush technique. I'm going to hold that brush. I'll grab one of my other brushes. Burnt umber. Just going to repeat what I did here. I'm just going to get some of that burnt umber and just sort of lay it out a bit, okay? So I'll put that brush back. I should really wash that, but my hands are clean. I'm making a video, so I'll let that go for the moment. I want just a little bit of this burnt umber. So this gives me really good control over the amount of burnt umber that I'm getting. I can see there's not going to be any surprises in my brush. And I'm just adding that quietly. Let's have a look at this. I'll show you this up close. So I'll put a little bit of this on. It might be a little bit light. Oh no, it's not too bad. It's pretty good. Nice. It's quite, you know, probably I need a thinner brush to apply it there. So I'm pretty happy with that. My suggestion to you is to tackle these sort of three zones in three separate stages. So initially mix this off-white with the burnt umber, paint that, and maybe go down into that wet sand zone, let it dry. Then next, mix up the wet sand zone. So that's just more burnt umber. So I'll go in and grab a little bit more burnt umber. And you can see I've got such good control of the amount of burnt umber I'm picking up. Because it's all been spread thinly and there are no surprise lumps in this. I think I might be a little bit light on this. Oh, wow, it's not. Oh, sometimes it's really hard to guess. It's a little bit lighter, but not too much. In fact, I'm quite happy with that. Now, one of the things you'll notice is my brush strokes are very horizontal. I'm trying to create an impression of a flat beach here, because that's what it is in the photo. So I'll just show you that photo. See the beach? It's really very flat, just slightly sloping upwards, but very, very slightly, I would say. So my brush strokes are trying to capture that horizontal nature of the underlying reference material. So what I would do is I would, on your painting, the waves wouldn't be there, I'm suggesting. And I'd put this in, and I go further out into the wave zone, and then let that dry. And then my third step would be to put the waves in. So my waves would be, as you can see from this image here, they would be very much a white colour. And again, the brush strokes would be very horizontal, very horizontal. You can sort of see that it's extremely horizontal. One of the other issues is that as you go around this corner, the amount of that brown beach gets less and less compared to here because it's such a flat beach. So you paint that wider and then you'd put the white waves on top of that. But it's very delicate work. Look, I'll show you, we'll put a couple of white waves on this. I can see I've got a little bit of paint on this handle, so paint just gets into everything if you don't get on top of it. Now, if I'm going to paint the white of the waves, I need really clean brushes because any little brown there will seep out. So you see, I'm not doing that. I'm getting my brushes and trying to squeeze it out. And I'm going to grab a little bit of linseed oil and just give it a really good clean, because I'm trying to create a really white colour here. So obviously I'm going to use titanium white because that's the whitest of whites. And again, I don't want any colour here in this bowl, so I'll get in there and just get rid of it. So for that, those waves to have any impact, they need to be this sort of bright white. So I'm using my smallest brush, a little bit of liquid. That looks good. I can't see any colour coming into that, which is good. I'll grab a bit of that titanium white. Pretty sure this is going to be, you know, close to pure white. We'll see. So in this area here, I would just be doing horizontal strokes. You know, I've got wet paint here, so this is not ideal, but this is the sort of thing that you would be doing in creating that beach. I'm happy with the colour of that, the white. This is quite fine work, so what I want to do is I want to feather that back. So I picked up another dry brush. I'm just getting the tip of the brush to cooperate, and I'm just going to feather that back just so I don't get like strong ends to where my white finishes. I just feather that back in. So I grab a little bit more white. Again, maintaining a horizontal brush stroke just to get that look that I want. And then again, I'll sort of feather that. Oops, sorry, I was out of view then. Apologies if I was. Just feathering that in. Look, I think that's a pretty reasonable result. This is not my best brush. It's a little bit sort of frizzed and splayed at the end. So a newer brush might be a better option here. So I'm really trying to create those impressions of waves coming into the shore. Not really happy with that. I need that to look like it's running up the beach more, which is what I'm getting now. Okay, so that is how I would tackle it. I think one of the key things I can offer you is that spread of burnt umber. This colour is just white, titanium white with burnt umber. So do it in 3 stages: sand, wet sand and waves, and use horizontal brush strokes to get something consistent with this image here, where it looks to me to be, you know, like the white water's running up the beach. So it's very much a flat sort of beach rather than a really steep beach. And that is how I would tackle that sandy margin there. Perhaps I should say that we're also going to do this one, weren't we? This wet sand colour is the same colour here. And again, you're just going to play around with the same sort of thing. I've got pure white in here, but I'll grab a little bit of burnt umber, as much as I can of that. Let's see what we get. Are we going to be too white? Not overly. So you'd mix that up here on this line here, and then just maybe feather that in, get that to blend in a bit. And that would give that sort of wet margin there on the beach. Which is there. Look, possibly could be a little bit lighter. So just keep a bit of liquid. This is probably going to be too light, but what I can do is I can sort of, the brush strokes were a little bit hit and miss there, but I have sort of feathered it in just to get the type of result I want. Okay, so they're my suggestions on painting the beach sand.